as good as spiritual consolations are, it's not the only thing we'll ever experience in our spiritual life. We also are going to experience the opposite, desolations, which we'll talk about here in a second. But there also can just be the kind of normal life experiences. It's the same way on a natural level, where sometimes we're experiencing really positive experiences, and other times we're feeling very negative, and sometimes it's just normal life, kind of in the middle. So it's the same way in our relationship with the Lord, is that we don't have consolation at every moment. And just because we don't doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. But that's getting into some of the later rules for discernment of spirits. So it would be nice if we could just spend all of our time and only think about the consolation, but it's also important for us to reflect upon desolation, because it will come. And once again, there's no shame in experiencing desolation. There's nothing wrong with us. This is a normal and natural part of our spiritual life. St. Ignatius gives some examples of what this can look like as well. And so in the examples, the first one is darkness or disturbance in the soul. So a darkness. There's times where we can't get things figured out, where we're confused. We can't figure things out in our spiritual life. We're not really sure where things are coming from. Think of the apostles there as they're walking on the road. They've got this confusion. There's a heavy kind of feeling, maybe that things are going badly, and there's this thought maybe they're just going to get worse. It's never going to get any better, right? I can't find my way out. There's this darkness. Disturbance. Your peace is gone. We're without peace, right? There's this internal agitation. Maybe you try to pray, but you just can't focus. You're anxious about a whole bunch of things. You can't find that peace. Maybe you try to go to church, maybe you try to pray, go to the Bible study, but it's just, you don't have that same kind of joy that you had previously, that you had in participating with things. A draw towards low and earthly things. So these are moments where we're drawn towards certain temptations, right? Maybe, let's say you're at the end of the day, it's been a long day, things didn't go as well as you hoped, there's a kind of heaviness within the heart. Normally you'd pray, but you don't really have any desire to do it now. And there, just a few inches away from you, is your phone, your computer, and 1 minute becomes 5, becomes 10, becomes 20, and you realize all this time was wasted on things and maybe even brought you to places you never wanted to go. Times when we want various gratifications, going to the fridge a second, a third time, getting up from the TV hours later. This is a pull towards low and earthly things, right? Things that when we're done, we realize they don't satisfy. They didn't bring what we were looking for. Agitations and disquiet from various agitations and temptations. These are times, especially when memories of past sins or bad habits that used to be a really strong draw to us, that maybe we've been really doing well against. Now suddenly in this moment they become so strong, pulling us back away from the Lord. In desolation, we're more susceptible to falling for temptations. These are moments of example of lack of confidence, hope, or love, right? So maybe you're used to praying regularly, but now prayer just feels dry, like nothing's coming from it. And when you're in the middle of prayer and nothing's happening, you're like, I got so many other things I need to do. Why don't I just give up? I'll just cut things short, right? Feeling totally slothful, tepid, and sad, right? Maybe the last several weeks you're worried about something, in your family, finances, or something. Maybe it was illness that you're dealing with, so some kind of non-spiritual desolations that might be occurring. And maybe it's caused you to let your prayer kind of slip. You've not been praying as much as you normally would. So some of these spiritual practice, kind of got pushed to the side, and you have no energy for them. You're just feeling all lazy and there's just no energy there. Maybe I just won't, maybe Mass comes up or a Bible study you're going to go to, and you're just, I don't feel like it, and maybe I just won't go. We just have no energy for it. Probably one of the worst ones is the last one, is feeling as if separated from God, right? Here's one of the greatest lies of desolation that the enemy tries to fool us with, is that you have been abandoned. That God has abandoned you, He's left you in this, you are isolated and alone, you're all by yourself. But notice what he says, you feel as if separated from God. Because what's the truth? The truth is that you are not separated from God, that God remains with you in the moments of desolation. It's just that you don't feel and experience His presence there, right? He has not abandoned us. We don't feel Him, but He is just as close during those times as when we did experience His closeness. All of this these examples of spiritual desolation, these are happening on the level of our relationship with God, but they can also be affected by non-spiritual desolations that may occur. You know, it's a small step from just feeling worn out, feeling physically or mentally drained, or kind of just emotionally depressed, to getting to the point where it's like, I don't feel like praying. Why am I bothering trying to serve in the parish in this way? God doesn't care. Right? Suddenly those non-spiritual desolations can lead us right into the spiritual desolations. So generally the two often go together. One can lead to the other. And oftentimes, but the good thing about that is that sometimes our spiritual problems with our relationship with God can be resolved if we pay more wise attention to the non-spiritual level of our humanity, right? If we're not getting enough sleep, if we're running ourselves ragged, maybe that's part of the reason why we feel like God has abandoned us, right? Because we haven't paid attention to things on just the normal human level, right?